We've steamy late-night drama at 12:35 with Savannah. First on LWT, highlights from round 5 in the World Championship, the Spanish Grand Prix.
Hello there, welcome to our review of this afternoon's Spanish Grand Prix. Barcelona's Catalunya circuit is very familiar territory for all the teams. They test here on a regular basis. It's been an excellent track as well for McLaren. They've won here in the last couple of seasons, and those Supermacs really need more of the same to challenge Ferrari. Much of the attention, though, focuses on David Coulthard and his narrow escape from a plane crash which took the lives of its 2 pilots. A real test of character, then, for the winner of the British Grand Prix as he decides to race on.
As I would want them to continue doing their job, had the circumstances been different, I firmly believe this is the best way I can pay my respects to them in what they were doing, a very professional job, and being here and racing and continuing to try and do my job to the best of my ability and to keep my focus on trying to win races and win a world championship.
Grid position is vital here, and Coulthard leaves himself with plenty to do, qualifying 4th. His session disrupted by a fuel problem. Michael Schumacher's in scintillating form. His first pole position of the season, Ferrari's first in Spain since Lauda back in 1975. Even a late McLaren charge can't displace the championship leader. Hakkönen's last run is just short. Ralf Schumacher's been on the pace all weekend, best of the rest in 5th, and that underlines Williams' impressive start to the season. And so the grid, it's Michael Schumacher on pole, just ahead of Hakkönen's McLaren. Same formation on the second row, Barrichello 3rd, Coulthard 4th. Ralf Schumacher 5th, equally impressive, Villeneuve's best grid position of the season. Truly out-qualifying Frentzen for the first time, the Jordans forming an all-yellow 4th row. Irvine's Jaguar 9th, alongside Jenson Button. Then it's Verstappen and Salo. Fisichella struggling for grip in the Benetton, and Johnny Herbert. Deniz in the Sauber alongside Zonta in the second BAR. Alesi way down in the Prost, and Wirtz battling for form. Then Heidfeld and the Minardis, and right at the back the unfortunate De La Rosa, originally 9th but demoted for a fuel infringement, and this in his home race as well. It's the Spanish Grand Prix then, with your commentators Martin Brundle and Murray Walker.
Is action! Nice one, Michael Schumacher, who cuts across the track and tries to head off and does so. Mika Hakkinen, who continues to attack as they go up into turn 1. David Coulthard, then look at Ralf Schumacher. Ralf Schumacher is up into 2nd position. Amazing, or has he got past Hakkinen? No, he's not, but he's got past David Coulthard. So David Coulthard, who started 4th, has been passed by Ralf Schumacher at the Williams BMW. A magnificent start.
And they both passed Barrichello, Murray. So the main man off the start was very clearly Ralf Schumacher. Hooked it up well, found a nice clear route through and slotted into 3rd, and so nearly 2nd, as you saw, going into that first corner. But a dream start for Michael.
Yep, 7 years between the Schumacher brothers. Just imagine what Ralph's going to be like when he's got yet more experience under his belt, and already Pedro Diniz in the Sauber is out of the race into the gravel track. Hopefully there's not going to be a problem over keeping the race going, because Michael Schumacher is exactly where he wants to be. Started in pole position, got a magnificent start. He's ahead of his main rival, Mika Hakkinen, and Ralf Schumacher is in 3rd position, ahead of David Coulthard, who is 4th. Rubens Barrichello, who started in 3rd position, is down to 5th place in the 2nd Ferrari, and that's a very unhappy situation for the Brazilian. Coming up to complete lap 1.
And Jenson Button moving up into 9th place too. So big cheer from the crowd outside the commentary box there as Michael Schumacher goes over the start-finish line with a 1.1 second lead, as you can see, over Mika Häkkinen. And then the rest following closely. So Schumacher then up into turn 3, just what he needed with his strategy and the tyres he's running on that car with some clear air in front of him.
And Jenson Button in the top 10 with a vengeance, because he's in 9th position, having started 10th on the grid, qualified 11th. And bringing up the rack of the field, Mazzacani in the Minardi, because Pedro Diniz has already retired. 22 started, 21 running, lap 2. Michael Schumacher leading at the end of the first lap by 1.1 seconds. And now, as far as Mika Häkkinen is concerned, he is at a major disadvantage. His car was slower than Schumacher's Ferrari all the way through practicing and qualifying. Schumacher is ahead of him. That will help Ross Brawn in the Ferrari pit lane, the man who defines the strategy. There's another one out. It is the Prost of Jean Alesi, the great French driver. Oh, and out goes another one. That is the Arrows of De La Rosa. Well, what a dreadful Spanish Grand Prix it has been for him, because he also went off this morning in the warm-up, and this will be a meeting he will want to forget. So 3 retirements: Diniz out, Alesi out, De La Rosa out. Michael Schumacher, fastest of all, of course, and he's increased his lead over Mika Häkkinen to 1.6 seconds as he goes into turn. Here, replay.
Yes, here's the start. They're all quite clean away. Jenson Button, I see, moving well through the middle of the pack there. That's how he jumped up to 9th place. Here's another view from the back of the field. And look, the ones spinning their wheels just don't get away quite as well. If you can hook up and get rid of all the wheel spin, these things take off in the most amazing way. But Michael away. Mika doing quite well too, I can see, right at the front end. Ralph getting squeezed out at the last moment. Coulthard, a net loser, but maintains his 4th place because of Barrichello's very poor start. There it is. That's how, look, that's how Häkkinen stayed in front of Ralf Schumacher to maintain that 2nd position. 2 Jordans then. Which one of those is ahead? Frentzen has passed truly. Frentzen ahead and leading the 2 Jordans. They're currently 7th and 8th. Johnny Herbert is back in 15th. Eddie Irvine in the sister Jaguar, a couple of places ahead of him in 13th.
Coming together with Jean Alesi.
Yes, so Alesi just simply tipped off into the gravel. That's how De La Rosa lost his front wing, and the very next corner he understeers, drives straight off the road.
Well, I never cease to marvel at how well Ralf Schumacher is going. Not just because he's a brilliant driver, of a brilliant brother of a brilliant double world champion twice over, Michael Schumacher, but the way he's staying ahead of David Coulthard. Now, you're getting an indication here of how difficult it is, A, to close up, and B, to do anything about the man in front of you. I'm quite sure that David Coulthard is actually in a faster car, but he gets into the disturbed air behind Ralf Schumacher's Williams, and there's very little he can do about getting past. Ralf Schumacher is on the racing line, and David Coulthard has just got to sit patiently there and wait for him to make a mistake, which he may well not do.
Coulthard will be groaning for 2 reasons. Firstly, he really doesn't need Ralph in front of him because the McLaren is a faster car. And secondly, I know he's carrying a bag of ribs that are not really absolutely ready to do one of the toughest physical Grand Prix of the year. So Coulthard, I think, carrying a few problems inside that car and could do with some clear air, but he hasn't got it, so he'll have to make the best of it.
And you're looking now at the Ferrari, and there is Mika Häkkinen in 2nd position. Here comes Ralf Schumacher and David Coulthard, 4th place.
Yes, interestingly, Murray, that's the first lap, the previous lap, that Häkkinen has actually pulled a little bit back on Michael Schumacher. I think this comes back to what James was saying, that the harder or the medium tyre would be better earlier on and then start fading away just as the softer tyre starts coming back into play again. So that's the first time in the race that Häkkinen has pegged Schumacher.
There's the battle for 3rd. It continues, and David Coulthard, try as he may, and he will be trying, cannot do anything about Ralf Schumacher in front of him. Ralf, his gap between him and his brother is now 10.3 seconds. It's a 2-car race for the lead. The two rivals, Michael Schumacher, twice a world champion, and Mika Häkkinen the same. 3.4 seconds between them, so the gap has extended a bit. You're looking now at Jenson Button, and he's right up with Jarno Trulli in 8th position, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is in 7th place. So Jenson, who qualified 11th, started 10th after De La Rosa was pushed to the back because of that fuel infringement, is right up with the two Jordans and getting a lot of experience at this circuit. Now you're getting another indication of how difficult it is to pass, because Jenson has actually made up quite a lot of time on the track. He can't do anything about track position at the present moment. Meantime, Michael Schumacher is still over 2 seconds ahead of Häkkinen, who's continuing to inch up on the Ferrari.
That's Villeneuve pitting. Villeneuve down the pit lane. I'm expecting also Eddie Irvine in on this lap. You see the Jaguar mechanics in the pit lane. No Ferrari or McLaren boys available or in the pit lane, or even looking like they're about to walk out. So it seems like both the Ferrari and the McLarens have got enough fuel on board to go deep into the 20-odd laps. 43 laps to go. We're about 1/3 distance. Of course, the last thing that Mika Häkkinen needs is for Michael Schumacher yet again to finish in front of him. Mika Häkkinen has yet to beat Michael Schumacher this year, because Schumacher won the first 3 races. I'm sorry, I tell a lie, because he finished ahead of him at Silverstone, of course. Just before we go to James Allen down in the pits, then Michael Schumacher got badly held up there behind there it is, the Jaguar of Eddie Irvine, and the gap now you can see for yourself. Just look how close Mika Häkkinen is to the back of that Ferrari.
Well, now, is Eddie Irvine, ex-Ferrari, going to move over and let his previous team leader through? James Allen, have you got news?
Well, there's unhappiness on the Ferrari pit wall. They were ready for a Michael Schumacher stop. They disconnected his tyres. In fact, he is going to come in. They're running out onto the pit apron now. Schumacher, obviously, he's lost a tremendous amount of time. And Ross Brawn, obviously agitated about how much he's lost, because he could well lose the lead of this race to Mika Häkkinen when he makes this stop on the next lap.
James, I must interrupt you, because Jarno Trulli is sitting in a stationary Jordan. There's obviously a problem. He's not getting away. Meantime, Schumacher and Häkkinen go through again.
Yeah, Schumacher did not pit at all, so the Ferrari mechanic's still out in the lane. It must be for Barrichello. Maybe they're playing psychology games with McLaren here, but that traffic has cost Michael Schumacher badly. Eddie Irvine's cost him a lot of time in that respect. And now, curiously, Michael can't stay with Irvine. And Irvine's pulled over to the right-hand side. He's clearly received all the blue flags. So Irvine now out of the picture. And that's Ralf Schumacher in from 3rd place before he made that pit stop, and a good stop for him.
And David Coulthard goes up into 3rd position. Barrichello goes to 4th place. And Ralf Schumacher loses track position as he accelerates out of the pit lane. Michael Schumacher has now got Mika Häkkinen on lap 24 right behind him. You can see the gap for yourself. They've both lapped Eddie Irvine, who is down in 15th place, 1 place ahead of his teammate Johnny Herbert. They've both stopped for fuel and tyres. But Schumacher is now only 0.4 of a second. Visually, you can see the gap between himself and Mika Häkkinen. And as Martin has said, and James has said, he could very easily lose track position if the Ferrari mechanics fumble his stop in comparison with McLaren. And in comes Michael Schumacher. James.
This is not at all what Ferrari had in mind. They've been very unhappy on the pit wall. I think they were ready for him last time by. In fact, they were. The tyres were out of their blankets. And I think either he went on his own and did another lap, or they didn't get the message through to him, because this isn't what was supposed to happen. Oh dear, oh dear.
Did he hit the marshal? We saw him pull away. The fuel wasn't absolutely out, James. It seemed like the fuel hose wasn't out. Did he run over the marshal?
I don't know about Marshall, but he's certainly he's hit something. It's a mechanic. He's hit one of the mechanics. The fuel hose wasn't disconnected. I think it's Nigel Stepney. It is Nigel Stepney, the refueler. He pulled him off his feet as he drove out. Meanwhile, the McLaren boys are ready, and they've just put a stop as well.
Well, that just shows the pressure that's on Michael Schumacher, as Nigel Stepney, the English chief mechanic at Ferrari, is helped away I hope he's not badly hurt. Perhaps it's just a twisted ankle or something like that. But anyway, this will cause confusion and dismay in the Ferrari pit lane. And you can see they're bringing out tyres.
Look, watch now. Look, they lifted the lollipop. They smashed the lollipop down back on Schumacher's cockpit. The fuel hose, they did all the action. The fuel hose didn't come. The lollipop went up. It's the lollipop man's fault. And he slapped it down in front of Schumacher. But he was too busy getting underway. I think Coulthard had a very poor stop. Seemed to get away slowly too. So he won't be able to maximise on having a bit of clear air in front of him and get past Ralf Schumacher. Barrichello could be looking quite strong in all of this.
Lap 26 then, Mika Häkkinen now leads the Spanish Grand Prix, and Michael Schumacher has just done the fastest first sector of this three-sector lap. And oh dear, that is, if James was right, that's Nigel Stepney having his helmet removed. Obviously he's getting medical attention.
And here we go again. Now watch the refueling man. Look, he does the action. The lollipop went up. Michael understandably went. You can't see anything in your mirrors. And look at the lollipop coming back down right in front of Michael Schumacher's visor there. But he just carries on.
And there are the leaders, and you can see how close they are. Michael Schumacher leading Mika Häkkinen. They are 17 seconds ahead of Ralf Schumacher, who is continuing to stave off Rubens Barrichello's Ferrari in fourth position. There's only 0.6 of a second between them. It's as close for third and fourth as it is for first and second that you are looking at. David Coulthard has lost track position. He's down in fifth place. And Jenson Button in the second Williams BMW is in the points in a magnificent sixth position, having qualified in 11th place. I was talking to him this morning. I said, what about the rumours that you have already signed for Williams BMW next year? Is it true? And he gave a little smile and said nothing. So I said, when are we going to get the news? And he said, I haven't got a clue. He didn't confirm whether I was right or wrong, but I'm sure Britain will be hoping that I am right. And Michael Schumacher leads Mika Häkkinen, so less than half a race still to go. We ride with Rubens Barrichello, fourth position, chasing Ralf Schumacher. The magnificent Ralf Schumacher, who again, as he did on his first set of tyres, locks up the left front. It doesn't seem to be slowing him or distressing him at all. He's staying ahead.
Well, this little batch of three in third, fourth and fifth place are actually catching the leaders who you're looking at now. Michael only by a tenth or two per lap, but another strange take on the pace of this race as Michael Schumacher homes into a lap of what must be Jarno Trulli, who pulls nicely out of the way, and Mika closer than ever. Look.
Yeah, you've just got to take your opportunity, because Mika would have seen, just as Michael Schumacher could see, that the Ferrari was closing up on, and he's having another look here, closing up on the Jordan, and he would have said to himself, this could be my opportunity if Michael Schumacher delays a second. I remember that fantastic passing move when Nigel Mansell in the Ferrari took the lead in Hungary from Ayrton Senna's McLaren, and it could have been a similar situation there, but it wasn't.
Yes, I think more mischief really from Mika there, just saying, look, I'm here, remember I'm here. And there's really no way through on that corner, I have to say, unless it all ends in tears, because for sure you'll slide into the side. He would have slid right into the side of that Ferrari.
Into the pit lane comes Johnny Herbert for his second pit stop. The Jaguar mechanics swarm around the car. Off come the front and rear wheels. On goes the fuel filler. And that red board you see going down onto the side pod is to prevent any petrol or petrol vapor getting through onto the exhaust system, and in comes David Coulthard from fifth position.
I think there's probably a smart move by McLaren for Coulthard there, because he was clearly losing time tucked up behind Barrichello, who was chasing Ralf Schumacher, and that may give him, they've calculated that should put him out into some clear air with a bit of luck, although I've just seen two cars going past, that may give Coulthard a chance to leapfrog Ralf and Rubens.
Yeah, I think it was a Jordan and the Minardi, so it was couldn't spot which ones it was, but there we are, out, and here come the leaders, Schumacher and Häkkinen, and they're on their 40th lap. There are still 25 laps to go in this race, which is going to be so crucial for the World Championship. because if Michael Schumacher can finish ahead of Häkkinen and increase his championship lead by another 4 points, it's going to be mighty depressing at minimum for McLaren.
Yes, I noticed that as Coulthard rejoined the track, Jenson Button was coming along, the 6th place man. So clearly McLaren waited until they could be sure Coulthard wouldn't lose track position to Jenson Button and then board him in. But Ferrari mechanics tentatively ready, and I wonder which one of them is coming, and we're assuming it must be Michael coming in first. But actually we're hearing it's Barrichello. Barrichello, they're getting held up slightly in the coming into the pits there. So Ferrari have reacted to Coulthard's pit stop in the McLaren, and so look, is that Ralf Schumacher who's in the pits?
I just saw the Williams very quickly, but that's a very bad pit stop for Barrichello, and I'm pretty sure it's going to cost him his position, and that David Coulthard will regain 4th position.
No, I don't think he will. Coulthard's gone past. Actually, yeah, there's Coulthard. How will they come out? Look, it's absolutely touch and go. Gone, David, down the outside, and Ralf is going to have to defend the inside and does so brilliantly. Ralf Schumacher, very aware of this, but he didn't make it. Coulthard went around the outside. That was a brilliant awareness by Ralf Schumacher, but he couldn't just make the difference, and that has popped Coulthard up into 3rd place.
So David Coulthard gains not 1 but 2 places. He goes from 5th to 4th to 3rd as quickly as you can say it. Rubens Barrichello is down in 5th position with the Williams BMW in front of him.
Well, the Ferrari and Williams pit stop was a direct reaction as Michael Schumacher comes in for his 2nd run. James?
They're both in, guys. Oh, your heart has to go out to Andrea Vaccari, the new stand-in fuel man. If he makes a mistake of this, he'll lose the race, and he has
not in. He's made a mistake.
The hose is not properly yet. Häkkinen goes, he leads the motor race, and Vaccari's blown it for Ferrari. What a tragedy for him.
What cruel luck for Ferrari and for the new refueler. He will be in an agony over that. You can't really blame him. This is the first time he's done it under the colossal stress of race conditions. But there goes Mika Häkkinen rejoining the track, followed by Eddie Irvine, followed by Johnny Herbert. We wait for the Ferrari to rejoin, and look at the gap as coming up behind them are Barrichello and Coulthard and Ralf Schumacher. So it's cost Ferrari and Michael Schumacher dear, and Mika Häkkinen is leading and looking very good to win the Spanish Grand Prix and his first victory of the year 2000. Here he is.
Well, James, you said something I thought was absolutely correct. They will have practiced with a reserve. Jenson Button in for a stop. Looks a reasonably long one, 9.2. Not too bad, but probably a second and a half longer than it should have been. But you said, James, I'm sure they've practiced with a spare refueler. But if they have, he certainly wasn't ready for the job when it mattered most.
And Mika Häkkinen comes up behind the Benetton, and it's Alexander Wurz, who is in 13th position. Now, the gap between Schumacher and Häkkinen, we'll have to wait and see, both visually and in terms of time, until the end of this lap. But I should think it's a good 3 or 4 seconds, and that is a massive amount, particularly as between Mika Häkkinen and Schumacher are the two Jaguars and one of the Benettons.
I reckon it'll be nearer 10 seconds, Murray. He was stationary a long time.
Right.
He's coming over the line now. It's 10.2. Lucky guess there from me. But now I'm looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to this, because now we'll see if Michael Schumacher's got anything up his sleeve. And he's got 23 laps to pull that 10-second deficit back. He's got a comfortable championship lead in his pocket, but he does not need these McLarens coming back at him so early in the season, especially now Coulthard is up into 3rd. And now you're going to see what James was taking you through. He hasn't got it on. He's been in the pits a long time. The wheels are already finished, look. Tyre change already finished before the refueling even started. And that's why Michael Schumacher's gone from 6/10 ahead in this motor race to 10.2 seconds behind.
Well, the new refueler took a tentative dip at the fuel hose, pulled it out, pushed it back again, and that has cost Michael Schumacher the lead. You
touched on the refuelers having to be big guys, Murray, because when that hose is full of fuel and with all the gubbins on the end of it and the valves, I think it weighs several tens of kilos to lump. It's quite a clumsy thing to lump around, and then of course you've got to get it on square.
Yeah, you need a man actually to position it in the fuel outlet and someone else behind you to carry the weight of the hose. One man cannot do it. Now the gap is 10.2 seconds. David Coulthard is closing up on Michael Schumacher. He's under 6 seconds behind. Now here are the positions. Häkkinen on lap 44 leads. Schumacher by now 11 seconds. David Coulthard is less than 5 seconds behind the Ferrari in third place. Ralf Schumacher is fourth. Fifth is Barrichello. Sixth is Salo. And Heidfeld goes off the track there onto, that was a replay of course, goes off the track onto the grass, back onto the track again. And David Coulthard is within 5 seconds of the Ferrari. It could be a complete turnaround for McLaren if Coulthard can keep up the pressure and continue to close on Michael Schumacher, who I think has got his race rhythm back again now. But David Coulthard has closed the gap to 3.7 seconds between himself in third place and the car you're looking at, Michael Schumacher's Ferrari, second position in Spain. Mika Häkkinen now 12 seconds ahead. He looks to have broken clear. And if he can stay where he is, he's going to have closed the gap between himself and Michael Schumacher for the World Championship, down by 4 points. 10 for Häkkinen, 6 for Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher, who had led and who you are looking at now, is now nearly 14 seconds behind Mika Häkkinen and losing ground to David Coulthard, who's within 2 seconds of the Ferrari. Has Michael Schumacher got a problem? And Rubens Barrichello is in 5th position in the second Ferrari. Look at David Coulthard. When the cameraman pulls back a bit, you'll see the McLaren right behind the Ferrari. There it is. This is the battle for second position now. Mika Häkkinen is well and truly on his way. Nearly 14 seconds on lap 47 out of 65 ahead of the Ferrari.
Well, one thing Michael Schumacher knows is that Coulthard's not scared to have a go at him. Coulthard passed him in the 98 British Grand Prix, and last year barged past him. And look at the speed that Coulthard's got. He's in the slipstream. Can he duck down the inside? Michael covering his ground. David having to yield. Don't fall off the end of the track, David. But Michael wrestling that Ferrari through turn 2. And well, you won't go around there, David. But Michael now really, and David at least knows when he gets anywhere near the slipstream, a little bit earlier on the pit straight, he can take a good run down the inside of Michael Schumacher. A lot of brake dust coming out of the back of Schumacher's car, and well, he's really carrying that Ferrari at the moment, isn't he?
Well, they're coming up behind Jarno Trulli, who's 14th, Johnny Herbert, who is 13th, Eddie Irvine, who is in 12th position in the second Jaguar. There's a lot of traffic ahead of them. This could be David Coulthard's opportunity to nip past Michael Schumacher if Michael gets it wrong in terms of lapping the 3 cars in front of him. But Michael Schumacher will know that just as well as David Coulthard does. And if there was any question of David Coulthard's application, you're seeing the answer to it now.
Yeah, but he needs to stay calm. Just stay in position. Don't try and pull any moves in these next 2 or 3 corners. Just get totally ready for the straight. I believe Schumacher's lost a lot of straight line speed. Something's happened in Schumacher's car that's hampering him even between turns 9 and 10. Coulthard was homing in on him down the straight, so if he gets in the slipstream, it's so difficult to stay close behind in that corner. Now, is he close enough? I believe he is, to have a serious go at the end. If there he coming in the slipstream, look, oh, Schumacher's heading towards the corner. David can only just make it when he gets there. Can he get around the outside? Yes, he can.
Fabulous move by David Coulthard, who passes Michael Schumacher on the outside. Not on the inside, on the outside of the corner. Now that certainly indicates to me that Michael Schumacher has got some sort of a problem. David Coulthard, a magnificent passing manoeuvre. Here it is again, watch him as Michael Schumacher looks in his mirror to the right, moves across to the right. David Coulthard moves to the left and just drives straight round the Ferrari, as he did to Barrichello in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Rubens Barrichello now is forcing as hard as he can. He can't feel particularly happy about this Spanish Grand Prix so far because Barrichello started 3rd on the grid.
There's Michael Murray just ahead of them, look, yes. Michael Schumacher now He was 2.7 seconds ahead only as they crossed the start-finish line, and now he can't be much more than, what, just over a second, so clearly limping along.
Yeah, he's obviously got a problem. Of course, you can only hypothesise. We don't know whether whether the tyres have gone off, which is pretty unlikely, or whether he's got a gearbox problem or something to do with the engine. I don't think he's unsettled after the fuel filling problems he's had. It's got to be a car problem.
I think he's down on power, to be honest. I suspect that's his problem. Either he's missing, he could be missing again, James.
Schumacher goes through, Ralph is going through, puts his wheels on the curve, Michael fights back, and Barrichello closes up on both of them. And Ralph Schumacher is stretching ahead. This is a brother from brother, and Barrichello goes through. Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Barrichello takes both of them. Michael goes down to 5th place, and Ralph Schumacher goes to 4th. And into the pits comes Michael Schumacher.
Just go through the morals of that. He had to shuffle his brother out of the way to let his teammate through. What a terrible position to find yourself in. But Michael did it. He stuffed his brother to help his teammate.
Well, is this tyres, Martin? Because there goes Michael Schumacher again from 5th position. Well, on goes a new set of boots. He's going to be lucky to finish in the points at the present moment. Well, Jenson Button is back in 6th position. So a very happy race for Williams, because now both their cars are in the top 6, although Ralph Schumacher is down from 3rd, which he held for so long, to 4th as a result of that fantastic battle we've just seen between himself, Barrichello, and Michael Schumacher, which was resolved in the favour of Rubens Barrichello, who's shot up to 3rd position in the Ferrari. Now, his lap times are slower than those of both Hakkinen and Coulthard, and the gap...
Sorry, Murray, just watch this. Look, Michael just made Ralph work for it. Then he wouldn't yield, even though he knew he was coming in the pits, and still kept going up the inside. I think they just about touch in the middle of the corner. Look, and that lets Rubens through on the inside. They say blood is thicker than water, but that's certainly not been the case through those 3 corners, as Michael gives as hard a time as he can to that Williams of Ralph Schumacher. Look, now he's going to hold him out. He comes into turn 10, and turn 11, rather. He pushes him out, holds him out, look, and lets, I can only assume that was entirely intentional, and lets the other Ferrari through on the inside.
So on lap 55, let's take time out to establish clearly the top 10 as you watch race leader Mika Hakkinen, 22 seconds ahead of David Coulthard, 33 seconds ahead of Rubens Barrichello, 2 McLarens lead, Ferrari 3rd, Ralph Schumacher is 3 seconds behind Rubens Barrichello's Ferrari in 4th place, and 18 seconds ahead of his brother Michael in the 2nd Ferrari, which is 5th. Jenson Button in the points for Williams again. He's already had 2 World Championship points finishes in his first 4 races. He's in 6th place. 7th is Frentzen, 8th is Salo, 9th is Zonta, and in 10th position Fisichella. Into the pits comes Johnny Herbert from that lowly 14th position, 2 places behind Eddie Irvine. Well, hopefully Jaguar have now got reliability.
Just to recap on the race, Michael Schumacher got away beautifully from pole position. Hakkinen starting well, Ralph Schumacher having a blinding start. Barrichello falling back to 5th. Then, as they went through, the key moment of the race was Michael Schumacher's pit stop, where the refueling rig did not come out, although they lifted the lollipop and sent him on his way, causing some damage, causing a lot of uncertainty. That then wrecked his 2nd pit stop and put Mika Hakkinen with this clear lead. Michael Schumacher appears then, had a slow puncture. Coulthard had a good run at him. McLaren doing a good job to get Coulthard back out ahead of Ralph Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello to give him track position. They then were able to maximise on that by passing Michael when he had that slow puncture. So 1 and 2 is how they've ended up.
We're on lap 63 now. Mika Hakkinen is about to start the 64th and penultimate lap of the Spanish Grand Prix of 2000.
Jenson Button has stopped. We think it's an engine problem. Haven't seen it on the screen. hearing from James down in the pits. He's seen or heard something. I'm expecting you'll see it anytime soon. What a shame. Button dropping out of that point scoring. There it goes, coming out of turn 9. And,
Engine.
That's for sure.
And that means to say that Jordan look as though they are going to get a World Championship point after all. Heinz-Harald Frentzen moves up into 6th position for 1 World Championship point. And Mika Häkkinen driving onwards now. 7th is Salo, 8th is Zonta, 9th is Fisichella. Completing the top 10 is Alexander Wurz. Both the Benettons in the top 10. And Mika Häkkinen just about 3 miles, perhaps 3.5 miles away from his first victory of 2000. Look at the Finnish flags flying there. There's a very big contingent of Finns here. They follow their man with enormous enthusiasm, and they're going to get their reward here in Spain, because in just a minute and a half or so's time, the man you are looking at, Mika Häkkinen, is going to be coming into the finish to score his 15th career Grand Prix win, to give him 10 World Championship points, to add to the 12 that he already has. Now, Michael Schumacher should finish this race on 36 points. Mika Häkkinen will finish on 22 points. The gap will have been dramatically reduced between the two of them. The World Championship is a long, long way from being finished, and we're on the last lap.
Must be lovely for Häkkinen to see that board. P1, L1, position 1, of course. 1 lap to go, 17.3 seconds ahead of David Coulthard. Barrichello a further 14.5 seconds down the road. So it's quite a spread out now for the podium players, but I think they'll all be pretty satisfied with their afternoon, given where they were coming from.
Indeed, and especially Mika, the quiet, unflappable, pragmatic Mika Häkkinen, 17 seconds ahead of David Coulthard. Their lap times have come down considerably, indicating the fact that they are pacing themselves home, and there's a very, very short distance now between Mika Häkkinen and that wonderful sight for a racing driver, the checkered flag, which means not only that you have finished the race, but that you have, in his case, won it. The Spanish Grand Prix. Out of the right-hander comes Mika Häkkinen. You can see the crowd moving in the background, the Finnish flags waving there. Into and out of the last corner now comes Mika Häkkinen, crossing the line, and it is victory for Häkkinen, McLaren and Mercedes in Spain. And the mass of blue and white flags, it's a very happy, a very relieved Mika Häkkinen. David Coulthard, I'm just looking to see whether, yes, David Coulthard goes through in 2nd position. There he is. So, for the 2nd race in succession, the McLaren team have scored 16 World Championship points in the Constructors' contest, as Rubens Barrichello finishes in 3rd position. Now, is it going to be Ralf Schumacher in the Williams BMW in 4th place in just a few seconds' time? Yes, over the line he goes. And Heinz-Harald Frentzen is 35 seconds down the line. Only 6 people will have completed the full race distance.
Coulthard struggling to get out. The last time I saw him before the race, he had a frozen bag on his ribs and was laying down, and he looked like he could barely walk out of the motorhome, let alone get in a Formula 1 car.
He looks a bit tense and stiff there, Martin, as he eased himself out of the cockpit. In comes Mika. Now, when he gets up onto that podium, are we going to see him replicate the Michael Schumacher jump? I don't think so. Both David Coulthard and Mika Häkkinen are pretty conservative chaps on the podium, and they're both up there again for the 2nd race in succession. Only one Ferrari driver, but once again Williams BMW have got one of their cars. It looked as though it was going to be both of them in the points.
And so the McLaren revival continues. It's another 1-2. They haven't dropped a point here since 1997, and the world champion is back in the picture.
It has been a very strange situation, you know. in terms of not being a pole position and winning Grand Prix. But if you look start of this year, you know, I was in pole position most of the races, and I didn't win the race most of the time because I didn't finish the Grand Prix.
A satisfactory end to what's been a very difficult weekend for you?
Yeah, under the circumstances, I think second place, 6 points, and more importantly for the team to get 16 points, I think is a good result, good weekend, and just want to put this behind us now and get some rest, and then look towards Nürburgring.
It's a great victory. I think both drivers did a fantastic job, but I'm particularly pleased with the team and the strategy and the way we varied it and the outcome. It was satisfying day for us.
I feel like I had a better car than third position today. I feel like, but I never run by myself. I choose a good setup, but I was stuck behind people. Basically, I had the 10 laps at the end to go, but then the pace was gone already. I couldn't achieve more than third, so I just slowed down a bit.
I heard that you had some problem with one of the tyres. Is that right?
I had a puncture. Yeah.
You always seem fairly philosophical about it.
How do you mean philosophical?
Well, you've lost points today, but it's you've got something.
I mean, that was expected. One day it would come to us, and today it was the day, unfortunately. But still 2 points and a long season to go.
It wasn't our best race, it's true. Nigel got run over in the first round of stops. Luckily, he's okay. But we had to use our reserve refueler, who struggled on Michael's last stop. And then we picked up a puncture. We didn't know what the problem was, so we persevered for a while, and then we could see it went down far enough for us to understand what was happening. We came and put another set of tyres on.
How did Michael take all of this? What's he been like on the radio throughout the race?
Pretty philosophical. I mean, he was obviously very concerned in the middle when he was going so slowly. So, but he's picked up some points today, so could have been worse.
Ralph is actually spitting blood about that move his brother pulled on him. I know you've just been talking to him. What did he say to you?
Well, I can't really say too much about it, but he'll probably have a quiet chat with Michael about it. I don't think he'll make a public display of his views, but it's something he'll probably sort out in a chat with Michael, I would think.
I take that to mean he's not best pleased.
You can draw your own conclusions, Louise. Yeah.
I still enjoyed the race, probably more than any race this year, actually. But starting 10th, which would have been 11th yesterday, was good, and also I had a good start, which I was happy with. Could have been better, but I was a bit cautious. And being in 6th position, I was very, very happy with leapfrogging the Jordans on the second stint. So just looking forward to the next one.
Well, let's also hear from Chief Mechanic Nigel Stepney, carried out of that Ferrari garage after being hit by Michael Schumacher. Well, Nigel Stepney emerged sitting down, but thankfully smiling, to chat to Louise Good.
Nigel, how are you feeling?
Better now than before.
Is there any damage?
It's just stretched a ligament or broken a ligament. It's just swollen a little bit.
But it must have been a very, very nasty moment for you, a very frightening moment.
Well, I think what I remember of it, yeah.
Michael Schumacher's lead then reduced to 14 points. Hakkinen has overtaken Coulthard. Barrichello still fourth. Ralf Schumacher actually dropping a place, and Fisichella becalmed on 8. In the constructors, McLaren within 7 points now of the reigning champions. Williams adding 3 points to stay a clear third. Frenson's point for Jordan is their return from Barcelona. We're going to have to change our minds about this place. We say great place to visit, always a dull race. Not this year, though.
Oh, this circuit has shattered its reputation for dull races, hasn't it? It really turned around. I think the first 10, 15 minutes thinking, oh no, it's the procession of last year. It wasn't. It was an absolute thriller, dictated not just by brave overtaking manoeuvres, but also action in the pits.
Schumacher said he expected to win here today, and after the start it looked as though everything was going according to plan for him.
You know, he's been oozing confidence, and of course he's been upsetting all his rivals because they think perhaps he is overconfident, but here he makes a manoeuvre to protect the position because of fast-starting Mika Hakkinen. But the man of the match, the star of the show, was Ralf Schumacher, just barreling down the inside. You saw him then just tucking in behind his brother. It was really nearly like 97 all over again when he took his brother out at the beginning of the European race in 97 at Nürburgring. Button making a great start there, scything his way through. and getting through to 9th place. There goes Ralph. Look at him going past Rubens Barrichello, and he jumps David Coulthard. But now he's honing in on his brother in the Ferrari. Look, going right down that white line on the inside, seeing if he can have a go on the inside there, and not quite touching his brother. So dramatic start.
Not for the first time, we have to say. It all went wrong for Ferrari and Michael Schumacher in his pit stops.
Yeah, well, he seemed, you know, we weren't sure if he was coming in a little bit late, and he was a little bit agitated. Now, we've got to watch the lollipop man here controlling the front. Nigel Stepney's on the big fuel hose, and Nigel Stepney gets a whack by the right rear there as he's going away, and it was the fault of the man controlling. There's Nigel Stepney being carried away, the English chief mechanic of Ferrari. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, he stayed ahead of Häkkinen, but later on, Häkkinen and Michael Schumacher coming in together. This is the battle of the race, the battle of the pit stops, the battle of the two crews. They've got a substitute fuel filler on there now, Andrea Vicari, and can't get that hose on. It has to sit squarely on. Schumacher has to wait for over 10 seconds while they refill. Häkkinen's in, out, gone, into the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix, probably smiling under his face mask there, and poor Schumacher sitting there.
You can tell by his demeanour after the race that Michael Schumacher was absolutely livid about that. He had a bit of tyre degradation as well at this track that's so tough on tyres, and David Coulthard took maximum advantage, didn't he?
Yeah, and we're not quite sure exactly what it is, whether the tyres was turning on the rim as they did in Australia, but this was almost like looking at 91 and Mansell against Senna coming down that long straight at Barcelona. And this was David Coulthard trying to get past. Now, the next lap, he has to go round the outside, lap 46, and he gets that place and gets up into third. And that was after David Coulthard had bodged his pit stop earlier on. McLaren very cleverly had brought him in a little bit earlier to give him track position and then get him back on the podium there.
Tremendous credit for David Coulthard, the way he's conducted himself here this weekend.
I think it's heroic. I think it's brave. The guy's in pain. We think he's got a cracked rib as well. You imagine driving with all the force and all the pressure in a Formula One cockpit like that, especially the harrowing thing that he's been through, the plane crash this week.
Finally, Tony, your magic moment from the race, and no brotherly love at all involved.
No, and Michael Schumacher has taken a lot of stick because the Italian press in particular say he lets his brother get away with a lot of things. He's gone soft on his brother Gargale, younger brother. But younger brother, look at this, just dives down. Doesn't matter that it's Michael Schumacher, his own brother. Now, was it tactical or not? Michael Schumacher still having a go at his brother. He was stung by the criticism at Silverstone when he let his brother through at Bridgebend in the middle. And what happens, Rubens Barrichello just dives through while the two brothers are scrapping and scrabbling for grip there. Now look at Rubens here, lining up. Absolutely tremendous. And he's going to go through and take that. And that, for me, was a wonderful moment of those cars sliding all over the place.
Barrichello dives through all the way to the podium. Tony Jardine, thanks very much indeed. And so here's your full Barcelona rundown. Fastest lap for Häkkinen, his third successive win here, always followed home by the heroic Coulthard. Barrichello's second podium for Ferrari. Ralf Schumacher, arguably the star of the day. Then Big Brother. Frentzen, the third German in the points. One lap adrift, Salo, then Zonta in the BAR. Fisichella followed by teammate Wirtz. Irvine's Jaguar, Trulli next. Herbert in front of the Spaniard Genet, then Mazzacani and Heidfeld. Button's engine blew late on, Verstappen's gearbox failed, Villeneuve's BAR, that overcooked. Alesi and De La Rosa had that early collision, and Pedro Diniz hardly featured. Our next Grand Prix, we go to the Nürburgring for the European Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time on FA Cup final day, a slightly later start than normal for qualifying at 10 to midday. The normal service on race day from 12:15 and highlights at 11:50. And so the McLarens are very much back in business with two huge results here in Barcelona and at Silverstone. They're looming in Michael Schumacher's mirrors. Good night to you all.